Hi, my name is Ndumiso and welcome to my YouTube channel. This time I am in Cubase 11 Pro. Cubase, well, it is one of the most intimidating doors you can find because there's just so much. There's just so much. And these are some tips that I'm going to give you to help you get started building momentum, because sometimes you do lose inspiration when you open a door and you are just compounded with options and options on top of options and submenus and submenus. So let's get started. These are things that I wish I knew before I got started, because I see a lot of tutorials on YouTube and none of them really address some of the things that I find useful for me in my everyday workflow. So starting from the beginning, let's just open it. This is very non-linear and non-structured, so I'm just going to go through things that I use. I'm going to go open up Cubase 11 Pro. And right here from the beginning, we are welcomed by the Steinberg Hub, and this is where basically your project starts here. But what I like to do is to start empty and then create myself a template of things that I am going to be using. So let's just start with an empty template. If you see on the left, this is where you find all your news, the stories of updates or tutorials or tips that you might find from the Cubase website. Over here, you've got some tabs of templates that you might be interested in using. Maybe if you just want to try it out and just have a look at what these templates are doing. And these are your recent projects, but I like to go here to more and just click on empty and start a new template. Over here at the bottom, that is where you are going to be saving all your project files. I've got it set here for prompt for project location, so every time I start a new project, it basically is going to ask me where I'm going to be saving that project and those files. Over here, if you click on the use default location, that is where all your projects are going to be going. And over here on the side, you have a chance to name that, but that only works with here on the use default location. You've got a chance to save that project folder, but here I like prompt for project location, and I am going to be clicking on empty to begin an empty template. There's the prompt, and then I'm going to be selecting that folder. Okay, upon opening this empty template, what we're gonna find, this is the project window. Right here is your track pane. This is where all your tracks and groups are going to be showing up. We've currently got our lower zone activated and our right zone activated. This is the left zone where you find the track inspector. So I'm going to go ahead and open up a new track. I'm gonna add audio track, and it's going to ask me audio inputs, configuration, and audio output, where it's going to be going. I'm gonna name that Vox for now. I'm gonna create just one, and right there off the bat you see the track has opened up. And over there on the left zone, I don't really like the left zone. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to press Control, Alt, and L to get rid of that, because there's a lot of stuff there. And most of it I like doing from the track itself. So over here, you see that my track has got quite a lot of icons than the default, and you might see a lot of people on Cubase who make videos, but I never really saw anyone who explained how to get them like this. So let me show you how to get your track to look like that. I'm going to press Control Alt and E to get rid of the lower zone, and what I'm going to do right here at the bottom, you're going to see a little gear icon, and that's the track control settings. And over here you are going to be seeing all of the icons that you may want to appear on your track zone. So maybe let me just add 8 to make that wider, and make 8 as well to change the layout. So those are the types of things that you can do with your track icons. You want to get everything, and it's quite helpful for me because you've also got presets that you can open up. You've got presets, standard. I think this is the default one that you see. Yeah, that's the standard. You've got simple if you apply simple, and you've got recording, apply recording, and I'm gonna go there and place your name. You can change the length of the name, how long you want the name to appear over there, as you can see. And there, all the icons are going to be there on the left. So what you want to do is just take them and move them over to the right. Let me just take a preset, the mixing preset, and just move things over. You want track freeze, lane display type, listen, monitor, record enable, and lock. Just put in all the options. I like it that way. So there you've got all those stored over there, and just press apply and then okay, and then you've got all your options laid out right there on your track pane. And for me, this is very useful because you can use the freeze channel when you are using MIDI, and right here on your track you can just freeze a track from your track pane, and that makes it so much easier, because if you don't freeze over here, you're gonna have to open the inspector from the left zone. So that's Control Alt and L, and there you're gonna have to use and open that, and it takes up so much real estate to do that, when you can just set everything up beforehand and just have it right there on your track icons. And there we go. So if you want to create a template is very useful, because all the stuff can be set out every time you begin a project, because you're going to see all these things on every new project. You just put in all the stuff that you are going to use. So now that you've seen how I open create a channel and create this preset for these tracks, so what you want to do is to open when you want to save a template, you're going to go here and you save as template. But before that, what you might want to do is, now that you've opened the track for recording, this is an audio track, you might want to press F4. F4 opens your audio connections, and what you see here is that it's in stereo in. What that is going to do is that your recordings are going to be coming on one channel. It's going to be coming from, most probably, it's going to be coming from the left side. If you've seen that, if you're recording on a mono channel or a mono mic, you're only using one mic source, you're using just one microphone, so it's going to be coming from either the left or the right, depending on how you set up your audio interface. So what I like to do, I like to just, well, remove it. I don't want to see that, so I remove that. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to add bus. I'm going to add a mono channel, and it's going to be on one input, so all my audio is going to be coming from the middle, straight from the middle. It's going to be in mono. Okay, right there. I can go back. Did I save that? Yeah, it's going to be in mono. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to open the mixer channel, go back to routing, and there, mono in, and there we go. I'm back, mono in. So that's how my vocals are going to be coming in. Can I record this? I'm not sure. Okay, there. My vocals are coming in that way. Straight down the middle. Straight down the middle. That's what you want your vocals coming in. If you open a stereo track, you're going to be doing 1 and 2 stereo. I'm going to be opening that and record. It's going to be coming from the left, and we do not want that. You do not want that. You want it coming straight down in the middle. So mono track, going to go back. The stereo track has been recreated again, so I'm gonna go ahead and remove that. So yeah, so that next time when you are opening up your template, you want to make sure that you have all your inputs as a mono. And don't forget, it's F4. You're gonna go create a bus and add a mono so that all your audio tracks are going to be in mono. Moving right along, I'm going to be talking about adding all your tools right here on top. These are the tools that I have selected for my Cubase. There's a lot of stuff that I took out because it's stuff that I'm not really looking at. Sorry about that. Mainly the transport bar, because it's basically stop is the number 0 or space bar. Start is enter or space bar, and you've got record, which is the star key. That's the one I use. And loop is the the forward facing. That's the forward facing slash. The metronome is C. So to turn it on and off, you press C. So those are the things that I do. And over here you've got the automatic MIDI quantize. Now this is important because if you're going to be punching in MIDI, you're going to be playing. If you have it off, you're going to be playing live unquantized. And if you have this on, you can set how to have your MIDI quantized. This is also very, very useful. So I always keep it on. So it's going to be quantizing whatever you have set over here for your quantize presets. For me, I've got a custom one. I've just added just a little bit of swing, but you can change that, make it a 16th note. So every time you are playing MIDI, all your MIDI is going to be quantized to the 16th note. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to add an instrument, and let's just draw in some MIDI, and that's the bottom layer. That's the editor. So you see those are the 16th notes right there. But mine, as I said, because it's going to be that custom would adjust a little bit of swing. This is going to be very, very linear. It's going to be sounding it sounds very, very robotic when audio is just right on the line. It's not quantized. So my one, it's just adding a little bit of swing. That's what I just added there. Just a little bit of swing, just to add it that little bit of human element, as if you were like a almost perfectly timed human being. So what to create that, this is the open quantize panel. So you're going to open that, and then you set how much swing you want and how much catch range, and how many ticks. Is just basically how much of the quantization you're adding at this point, and then you can just press quantize and keep quantizing until it's gonna move just a little bit, every time. Maybe you just want to add some more percentage, it's gonna swing a bit more. Maybe you feel like a little bit more swing is needed, it's just going to be swinging just a little bit more. Just to give your music just a little bit of that element, and just that little bit of human feel, in case you do not want like your music to be very robotic. So that's how you use that quantize feature. And no, I do not want you. I want you back right there. As you see, the line, it's moved a bit, just a little bit. So that's what the swing and quantizing does. It just moves it just a little bit to give some of that human element, so that your music doesn't sound very programmed and very robotic. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of this lower zone once again. I'm going to remove that. Yeah, so those are the tools that I've got here. You use, okay, this bar for you is going to be your views. So that's the lower zone. That's the information line. You're going to see all the details, how long you've recorded, where you are on the track and stuff like that. That's the overview of the song. So if you need to go to a certain section, you can just see what you've done and just scroll over there quickly. That's the left zone. Right zone is activated. Lower zone, transport bar right there at the bottom. So over here, that's where you are going to be deciding when you're recording your MIDI, if you want to record new parts. I use new parts, so every time my loop section finishes, it just goes back to the beginning and starts a new part. You've got merge, so that if wherever your loop part reaches the end and it starts over, you are going to be basically putting both MIDI parts together, and replaces any existing thing that you're recording. It just replaces everything. It's not like comping, it's completely replacing. And when it comes to cycled MIDI notes recording, I'm not too sure about this section. I just leave it at default. So yeah, right there I've got auto quantized, so whatever I play is quantized. That is for me when I'm busy recording vocals. I've got keep history, and that's what you use for comping. So whenever you're comping, you're going to reach the end of your loop section. It's just going to go right back to the beginning. So let me create a loop section to show you what I'm talking about. Going to loop that, and then I'm going to go right at the beginning, cycle at the beginning. So it's busy recording right now, and then as you see, as I'm busy talking, it's just gonna go back, and whatever I'm saying, these waveforms are coming back over what I'm saying. So to open that loop section, those sections that I've recorded right now, I'm gonna open the show lanes, and right here you can select with this bottom small square right here at the bottom, you can select which take do you prefer, and you can close that up. If you don't want to do that, there's an arrow right here at the bottom. You can click that, and then you can select your take that way. And then if you want to commit, you can just remove overlaps, and simple as that. Simple as that. And okay, let me get rid of that transport bar at the beginning, because I rarely ever see that. Can't even remember when was the last time I saw that. So this is basically what my project looks like. My project layout looks like from the get-go. There's a lot of things that I don't open, I don't use, I don't see. So basically I like to keep it as simple as possible. I like to see over here the disk cache load. This is basically my performance of my computer, so I can monitor how much computer processing unit I'm using, how much CPU, how much disk is being used, is because sometimes you might use something that's taking up so much of your disk usage, and it starts to cause your computer to stutter, and that really kills your inspiration. So it's just good to have a monitor, have a look at that over here. So all these options that appear over here, you have a gear right at the top right corner, and then you have all these options, and you can just click through them, and you can see which ones you want to see, which ones you don't want to see, which ones you use, which ones you don't want to use. What did I click on there? Okay, track visibility configuration, that stuff. What is wrong with my mouse today? Damn. Okay, that was weird, but okay. My mouse started to act up now, so I'm gonna move over to the right zone, and I've only recently started using this media bay. It was very neglected before, so let's start with the VST instruments. Over here you've got icons of instruments, so if you're searching for an instrument and maybe you even forgot what it looks like, you can just come here. But before you able to see pictures like this, you are supposed to save the pictures whenever you load an instrument. Let me load up something that where you can see visually, like, okay, we're gonna load up Contact. You can see currently the icon of Contact, that's the Una Corda. So having a picture saved of an instrument, it's relatively simple. So let me just load something so you can see. Maybe, okay, we can load this one. So bam, you see Contact. Just press this camera icon right here on top and the picture has been saved. But I like to have something there so it looks cool, you know. If you have stuff that looks cool on your computer, that's also like a way to generate some inspiration for yourself, something that just looks cool. So I didn't mention how I loaded that instrument, so I'm just gonna take a step back and go right back to loading up. So right here on the media bay, loading up an instrument is as simple as just taking a picture and dragging it into a empty space here on your track zone. So that's it. And if you want to replace an instrument, you can just take and drag and wait for this arrow. You need the arrow, because if you wait for the lines at the bottom, that's going to open a new track under it. If you open up with this arrow, it's going to replace the instrument. Because what I usually did before was go here on the left zone and replace the instrument like this. That's how I replaced instruments. I go right here on this area and click and select like that. I thought that was like the only way, until I found out with the media bay, you can just drag and drop like that. Easy as you like, man. Easy as you like. How simple is that? So yeah, and the same goes basically for effects as well. So we're gonna go to VST effects, and right here as well, I've saved up all the pictures for all my plugins that I use. And now whenever I need an instrument, I can just drag and boom, wait for the arrow in the middle and boom, just like that, dragged and drop. Now with effects, you know that Cubase 11 has got 16 effects channels. So whenever you drop, you might be wondering where this effect channel is gonna go. It's going to go linear right below the other. So this is the first one I've dropped right here, opens up on the first effects channel. So if I were to drop another one, I'm gonna drop this L1 and boom, it's gonna pop up right underneath it. Easy as you like, man. Easy as you like. So and there we have it. One thing that I did do, because I do not like the default way that Cubase saves presets and how they are viewed, because it's just so much, man. I mean, look, there's everything stored in folders. Some stuff is appearing like this in folders, some things appearing in other subfolders and subgroups, because I don't want to like click through stuff and some of the stuff is missing. I want to see everything that I use all at once. So over here you've got VST effects, you've got a drop down list, you've got defaults. I've saved mine as Ndumiso's Essentials. So what I did open plugin manager, and in the plugin manager there's a plus sign right here on the top right corner. You are gonna press that to create a new collection of plugins. You're gonna click on empty, and on empty it's going to give you a new zone over here. Right on the side it's going to be empty, so you're just going to take all the instruments and select. You can select all the instruments you like and just drag them over to this right side, and that's basically how you create your collection. Once your collection has been created, you can just select it here. I've got into Miso's Essentials, so everything that I use on a day-to-day basis appears in one thing. No folders, no sorting, it's all just here in one collection. So I'm gonna go ahead and get rid of this right zone and talk about track colors. So I'm gonna add that new color, new tracks, and pretty much it's looking very gray, dark and bland. So what you want is colors, you know, so you can sort out what you're doing. So I've got Vox, I'll add that Vox 2. I'll add guitar, I'll add piano. So yeah, those are all my tracks. So if you've got like a whole bunch of tracks opened up and you just want to sort out, let's say you've got a project that's got like 100 tracks, you're gonna need to sort things out, so you know, and colors are the most useful way to sort out your project. So what you want to do, you want to come here to project colors setup. If you come here, these are the default colors. There's 16 of them. If there's not enough of them for you, there's a cool place to go. You go here to presets. You're gonna click on the maximum. I want the maximum. You're gonna go to color tints, and now you've got a huge selection of colors. You've got basic colors, or you can sort them out with color tints. Basic colors, that's how I usually use it. So now when you open up, I press shift and click, and that immediately opens up all the colors. So now I can just set my colors and sort them out. Shift and click, that's how I do that. Or if you want to manipulate a lot of channels, it's shift alt and C. Shift alt and C. Now you can just keep this thing on, and now you can colorize as many tracks as you want. Now you can have that, select, boom, click there, click there, click there, click, and shift alt and C is how you do that. And there you can sort out and colorize a lot of tracks. Also remember that in the mixer window as well, you do have the option of changing colors. If you go to the track name, and there's an arrow on the right that's going to appear. All right, let me get rid of all these tracks. Shift delete. to get rid of them. And these are some underrated tools that are in Cubase but are not spoken much of. One of my favorites is the ruler track. I'm gonna add one ruler, and there you have the ruler track. It's basically on default, it's going to show you the same as that, bars and beats. But if you click on it, you can go to time code, and for me that is bloody awesome, because now right here on your project area you can see the time. And for me that is helpful for like whenever you're getting a song from someone else and they've got a section they want you to add something, maybe like an effect, or maybe you're doing a collab and they tell you that your verse is coming up at maybe like 2 minutes 51, and you know you can just easily find that section in case maybe they sent you like a 2 track and you're having trouble finding. Now you can just go to this section, go to 2 track, go find whatever, go to scroll to whatever time, or maybe you want to set a marker at a certain time. Your client or whoever you're working with has sent you something, and then you can just scroll over to that time. It's relatively that simple, you know. Yeah, so that's the ruler. It's very, very underrated, that tool. So my next section, damn it, what's wrong with this mouse? I'm gonna go click toolbars. Don't need you. There, I think now I fixed it. So now if you go here to toolbars, in default mode, Cubase is gonna have this, the arrow and the range selection tool both opened up as one tool. So I'm gonna open up this track wide. So if you go to the top half of a track, you are going to see the range selection tool. If you go to the bottom half of a track, you are going to see the object selection. You see, that is set by default by this equal sign. If you have that selected, that's going to be selected, both these icons, and it's very useful. Coming from Pro Tools myself, Pro Tools has that same feature where the top half of an the track does something differently to what the bottom half of a track does. So I think I like that. It's pretty cool. So what I also find useful and a very underrated tool is the range selection tool. That's this one, the top half one. But how I used to use it, I think it was Cubase 9, where whatever you select on the range selected tool, that was going to be looped. That's this section, the loop area. There is a way to use that. It's Alt P to loop whatever section that you have selected with the range select tool. So if you want to have a section and you want to loop that, it's Alt and P. But for me, what I like, what makes sense for me, like how I used it in Cubase 9 or 9.5, around about there, is whenever I selected, it immediately looped. Like, let me know if there's a way to still do that, because I really enjoyed that feature. So I spent most of my time using the range select tool when I was using Cubase 9 and Cubase 9.5. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go to edit, and I'm gonna go to key commands. Loop selection is Alt P. What I am going to do, I'm going to remove that, and what I'm going to assign control and the /, because / is the keyboard shortcut for activating the loop area. So that for me, I'm gonna say open. That's how you edit basically shortcuts in Cubase. So now whenever I want to loop something, I'm gonna say control and /. It only makes sense for me that the button to activate the loop area and the button to activate the loop area playback, it's going to be the same thing. So I'm just going to make it one small tiny change, little variation, but at least I know what, when it comes to looping and activating and playing the loop section, it's going to be basically just one thing. So that's what I usually do with the loop section. That's what I like. Okay, another underrated tool for Cubase is the bounce to MIDI and bounce selection. Bouncing is very, very useful. Excuse me. The bouncing is very, very useful. So whenever you've got what's that? Okay, whatever. Whenever you've got like something that you would like to bounce, like you have an instrument that is taking up too much of your computer power, your processor or whatever. So what you want to do, you want to press Alt until you see this thing, and then you're gonna you're gonna okay, gonna control and click, right click, I guess. Control and right click, and that's gonna open up this section right here. So you're gonna go down to render in place. What I usually do, I go to render with current settings, and there, whatever you did last time is going to be rendered. So if you have like an instrument, I know like Contact or instruments like that that take up a lot of processing power, you press render, and then it's gonna bounce it from MIDI into audio. But if you don't like whatever settings you did last time, you're gonna go to render in place and go to render settings. So this one, you're gonna go into more of a menu that's in depth, and whatever you want to do, whether these two, if you have multiple clips, show you if you have multiple clips. I'm gonna duplicate that. Okay, when I select them both, let's say you've got multiple clips, you wanna bounce that as separate events. Let's name that into bounce. So in bounce, now I've bounced both of them into separate events. If I want to bounce them as one thing, I can say bounce. So now they are one thing, one event. So again, if I go to render in place, go back to the settings. Okay, me, I like it separate events. Now the processing, this is also very important. These options right here is how it's going to be bounced. So for me, the thing that makes sense for me is to use the complete signal path, which means it's going to be bounced with all the effects that you have added on the effects chain. All of those effects are going to be bounced with that MIDI event. So when you're bouncing it, it's going to be bounced with all the effects added on into that channel. So you can just delete the original channel and save your processing. Moving on, we've got a tail mode. You want that off. I don't want a tail. Go back, use custom name. Yeah. A file path. I do not touch that. And source events, this decides if you want to keep the events unchanged. That's what I was doing. Or if you want to mute source events, render, the original track becomes muted. You can just unmute that later. Is that the one? I think that's the unmute. There we go. can just unmute that later. So those are the bounce effects. And yeah, so far I've covered most of what I've wanted to cover. What's left? Recording. When you are recording, there's something very, very useful that you might not see very often on Cubase, and that's the delay compensation. Because over here it's going to show you how much processing and how much latency each plugin is causing, or if there's a plugin that is causing some latency, it's going to show you how much latency it's causing. It's going to show up over here. So let's go down and show you a plugin that I know causes some latency. I'm gonna click on de-esser. So the de-esser, when you open that, it's showing you that it's causing 34 milliseconds of latency. So whenever you've got plugins, you can just monitor for those plugins that are causing that latency. Yeah, those plugins that are causing that latency, and you can just take them out. And yeah, you can, well, not even just bypass, because what I've just done is bypass. You can just replace them, because I use the Waves de-esser most of the time, and basically it introduces no latency, so it will not affect your recording in any way. So yeah, those are my non-linear tips that are very helpful for me. Hopefully they are helpful for you as well. My name is Ndomeso, and catch you on the next video. If you like this, just tell me what it is that you enjoyed, and if you'd like to see more videos like this, leave a like and subscribe, and I'll try and get more out to you guys later. Peace out.